Hi and welcome back to my morning report chart appraisals on Thursday the 8th of January with me, Richard Perry, market analyst at Hand Tech Markets. Let's have a look at cable. And I've just had an analysis on Eurodollar, and both cable and Eurodollar are extremely weak, and I won't stress that enough. But at some stage, cable and Eurodollar I think can be expecting to see some sort of a technical rally, and I'm not sure whether we're a million miles away from that now, because I think you see on cable yesterday we had this candle, so about 100 pips on the daily range, but you actually saw a close in the upper portion of the candle. Now that would suggest that on the intraday basis that the sellers have lost a bit of impetus to the downside. Yes, I suppose you would argue that today the selling pressure has continued to the downside, and we're currently around about 50-60 pips to the downside. However, I'm just of the opinion that at some stage this will sort of peter out, or begin to peter out, and the selling pressure will sort of come to a bit more of a close. You've got the RSI on cable that's at 23. Now, 23 is historically stretched on cable. Generally tends not to get much below the sort of low 20s. Yes, I suppose in early September you saw it get to 12, but I would say that's mitigating circumstances with the massive fundamental event, which was the Scottish referendum. But normally speaking, the cable chart through the last few months has not tended to get below the low 20s. So at some stage I think we're going to see some sort of consolidation in the very least, if not a technical rally. Now, there have been no signs yet, and today once again, as I said, we've just breached below yesterday's reaction low around $1.50.50. We've had a low today that's come in at $1.50.32, but if you look at these momentum indicators on the hourly chart, you would slightly argue, here we go, that there's a very slight element of a bullish divergence. MACD lines as well, slightly bullish divergence. I say slightly bullish diverging. So there is just a sense that maybe that accelerating downside that we saw in the first few days of the year is just sort of losing a little bit of this pace, and maybe we could start to see a bit of consolidation, and maybe we may well begin to see a bit of a technical rally coming through. This is sort of a little bit of perspective what might happen, but I just think at the moment I would be a little bit cautious by chasing this one lower, because I think that the selling pressure that we've seen is just beginning to slow slightly, and that gives me a little bit of concern. Anyway, you would argue that having broken below the low of $1.51, I mean, arguably the next real low doesn't come in until $1.4810, so there is still further downside, but I'm just a little bit concerned that we've just accelerated away a little bit too far too quickly from this downtrend and the moving average, which is the base of resistance, and that just maybe we could well be ready for a bit of a technical rally. Anyway, I wish you good luck in your trading on cable, and I'll speak to you later. Thank you.